Let's read my followers' stories.
A day in the life of Ahmed, a teenage experience. Being a teenager is like living in a constantly changing landscape where nothing ever stays the same for long. Every day brings new challenges, new emotions, and new questions about who I am and who I want to be. So, here's a glimpse into a day in my life, a day that, like many others, is full of ups and downs, moments of clarity and confusion, and the ever-present struggle to figure things out. 6:45 a.m., the morning struggle. The day starts with the sound of my alarm clock blaring at me from the nightstand. It's way too early, but there's no avoiding it. I hit snooze, just like I do every morning, convincing myself that 5 more minutes of sleep will somehow make a difference. Of course, it doesn't. When the alarm goes off again, I know I can't delay it any longer. I drag myself out of bed, feeling like I could sleep for another 3 hours if only the world would let me. As I get ready for school, I think about what the day ahead might hold. There's always a mix of excitement and anxiety, a sense of curiosity about what might happen, but also a fear of what could go wrong. It's not just about the classes and the homework, although those are definitely on my mind. It's also about everything else that comes with being a teenager: friends, social situations, expectations from my family, and the pressure to figure out who I am. 7:30 a.m. Breakfast conversations. Breakfast is usually a quick affair in my house. I'm not a morning person, so I'm not exactly chatty at this hour. My parents, on the other hand, are full of energy, asking me about my plans for the day, reminding me about things I need to do, and generally trying to be supportive. I appreciate it, but sometimes I just want to eat my cereal in peace. Still, I know they mean well, so I'll do my best to engage in the conversation, even if it's just to nod along. There's always a little bit of tension at the breakfast table. My parents are constantly reminding me about my responsibilities, homework, chores, thinking about college. It's like they're trying to prepare me for the future, but sometimes it feels like they don't realize how overwhelming it all is. I know they want what's best for me, but I also wish they could understand that I'm doing my best to keep up. 8 a.m., the walk to school. The walk to school is my time to gather my thoughts. It's a short walk, but it's enough to clear my head and mentally prepare myself for the day. I pass by the same houses, the same streets, but every day it feels a little different depending on my mood. Some days, I'm in a good mood, ready to take on whatever comes my way. Other days, I'm dreading what might happen, especially if there's a test or a presentation I'm not ready for. On this particular morning, I'm thinking about a project that's due in a few days. I've been working on it, but I'm not sure if it's good enough. There's always that nagging doubt in the back of my mind. What if I don't do well? What if it's not enough? I know I shouldn't worry so much, but it's hard not to. As I get closer to school, I push those thoughts aside and try to focus on the present. I'll deal with the project later. 8:30 a.m., first period, the start of the day. The first class of the day is usually a mix of groggy students trying to wake up and teachers trying to get us to focus. Today is math, and while I don't mind the subject, it's definitely not my favorite. I try to pay attention, but my mind keeps drifting. I think about everything else I need to do today, and it's hard to concentrate. The teacher is explaining something about algebra, and I'm scribbling notes, but I'm not really absorbing it. There's always that one kid in class who seems to get everything instantly. You know the type, raises their hand for every question, always knows the right answer. I can't help but feel a bit envious. I'm not bad at math, but I'm not great at it either. I have to work at it, and even then, I'm not always sure I'm getting it right. It's frustrating, but I keep telling myself that everyone has their strengths and weaknesses. I just have to keep trying. 10 a.m., break time, social navigation. The bell rings, signaling the end of the first period and the start of break time. This is when the real social dynamics of school come into play. Everyone heads to their usual spots, some to the cafeteria, others to the courtyard. I meet up with my group of friends, and we hang out by the lockers, talking about whatever's on our minds. Sometimes it's sports, sometimes it's the latest TV show, and sometimes it's just random stuff we joke about. But even among friends, there's always a bit of tension. We are all trying to fit in, to be cool, to say the right things. There's this unspoken pressure to be part of the group, to not be the odd one out. I get along with my friends, but sometimes I wonder if they really know me, the real me. There are things I think about, things I care about, that I don't always share. What if they don't get it? What if they think I'm weird? So, I stick to the usual topics and keep the deeper stuff to myself. 11:30 a.m., lunchtime, the midday break. Lunchtime has a mix of relief and anxiety. It's a break from classes, but it's also a time when social hierarchies are on full display. Everyone has their place in the cafeteria, their group of friends they sit with. I grab my lunch and head to the table where my friends are already sitting. We talk, we laugh, we complain about the day, but sometimes I feel like I'm just going through the motions. There's always that part of me that wonders if this is really what friendship is supposed to feel like. Don't get me wrong, I care about my friends, but sometimes I wish we could talk about more than just the surface level stuff. I've got things on my mind, things I'm worried about, but I don't know how to bring them up. So I keep it light, keep it fun, and hope that maybe one day, we'll get to the deeper stuff. 1:00 p.m. afternoon classes. The grind continues. The afternoon classes are always a bit of a slog. By this point in the day, I'm starting to feel tired, and it's harder to stay focused. There's history, which I actually enjoy because it's like hearing stories about the past, and then there's science, which is interesting but also a bit overwhelming with all the facts and figures. I do my best to keep up, but sometimes it feels like the information is just flying over my head. There's this constant pressure to do well in school, to get good grades, to meet expectations. My parents are always talking about college and the future, and while I know they just want what's best for me, it feels like a lot to handle. I'm still trying to figure out what I'm passionate about, what I want to do with my life. And yet, it feels like every decision I make now could somehow affect the rest of my life. It's a lot to think about, and it's hard not to feel overwhelmed. 3:00 p.m. end of the school day, the walk home. When the final bell rings, there's a sense of relief. The school day is over, and I can finally head home. The walk back is a chance to decompress, to let go of the stress of the day, at least for a little while. I think about what I need to do when I get home, homework, chores, maybe some time to relax and do something I enjoy. But even as I'm walking, my mind is still buzzing with everything that happened during the day. There's always something to think about, something to worry about. Did I do okay in that test? What about that project I need to finish? And then there are the social dynamics. Did I say the right thing? Did I come across the way I wanted to? It's hard to just turn off my brain, even when the school day is over. 4:00 p.m. homework and hobbies, balancing it all. Once I'm home, it's time to tackle homework. I sit down at my desk, trying to focus on the assignments in front of me. Some days, it's easier than others. Today, I've got a math worksheet, a history essay, and some reading for English. It's a lot, but I know I have to get it done. I try to break it up, doing a little bit of each subject, but it's hard to stay motivated when all I want to do is relax. After I've made some progress on my homework, I take a break to do something I enjoy. Whether it's playing video games, reading a book, or just listening to music, it's my way of unwinding. But even then, there's this voice in the back of my mind reminding me that I still have things to do. It's like there's never enough time to just relax, to just be. 6:00 p.m. family time, navigating expectations. Dinner time is when the whole family comes together, and it's a chance to catch up on everyone's day. My parents always ask about school, about my grades, about my plans for the future. It's not that I don't appreciate their interest, I know they care, but sometimes it feels like too much. They want me to succeed, to make the most of my opportunities, but it's hard to meet their expectations when I'm still trying to figure out what I want. There's also the issue of communication. My parents grew up in a different time, with different challenges, and sometimes it feels like they don't really get what it's like to be a teenager today. We talk, but it's like we're speaking different languages. They want to help, but I'm not always sure how to explain what I'm going through. So, I nod along, give them the updates they're looking for, and keep the more complicated stuff to myself. 8:00 p.m. evening, wrapping up the day. As the evening winds down, I try to finish up any remaining homework and get ready for bed. This is usually when my mind starts to race. I think about everything that happened during the day, the conversations, the interactions, the things I said and didn't say. It's like replaying a movie in my head, only I'm the main character, and I'm constantly analyzing my performance. There's also the future to think about. What am I going to do after high school? What career do I want to pursue? Everyone seems to have an opinion, but I'm still trying to figure out my own. It's overwhelming to think that the choices I make now could shape the rest of my life. But that's the reality of being a teenager. constantly balancing the present with the future, trying to make sense of it all. 10 o'clock p.m. bedtime. Finding peace. Final E, it's time for bed. I lay down, hoping that sleep will come quickly, but it usually doesn't. My mind is still buzzing with thoughts, with worries, with plans. I think about my friends, my family, my future. I wonder if I'm doing this whole teenage thing right, if I'm making the right choices, if I'm on the right path. But as I close my eyes, I remind myself that it's okay not to have everything figured out. Being a teenager is about learning, about growing, about making mistakes and finding your way. It's not easy, but it's all part of the journey. And tomorrow is a new day, with new challenges and new opportunities. With that thought, I finally drift off to sleep, ready to face whatever comes next.
Thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to my channel. If you want to share your story, write it down in the comments. Peace.